My name is Engineer George Patrick Bediako with Spire Engineering. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Good morning. My name is Engineer Emmanuel Atia, a lecturer at Bolga Technical University.
Okay, Engineer, thanks for joining in.
My name is Engineer Kofi Osafu Sampong. I work with Algebra, an investment banking boutique.
Okay, thank you for joining. Can we have two more?
Good morning. My name is Engineer Rosina Makumati, and I'm from Branch 6. I'm the Women in Engineering rep.
All right, Engineer. Thank you. Good morning.
And maybe I have to take the last one.
Yes,
Good
you
morning.
do. Okay.
My name is Dr. Colin Sokra. I'm a TP, and I hope that in a month's time, I'll have my exam written and I'll be a PE. So I'm glad to be on this team. Thank you.
Thank you. We are glad to have you. I can see a number of participants. We have about 73 of us. I see Asantua, I see Etia, Eisa, Collins. There is Daniel. We have about 3 Daniels in our midst. We have Efo Akofa Anu. There's Elizabeth, Elom, Emmanuel. We see you all. We can't mention all your names, but what we are saying is we are glad you are joining today's meeting. Next on our agenda.
Moderator, I think I'm back online.
Okay, is that our Vice President?
Yes.
Yes, please. He's back.
Okay, Vice. All right.
Yes.
We almost left you behind. Can you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Okay. I'm Engineer Alex Ebisa, Regional Production Manager, Ghana Water Company Limited, Central Region. Thank you. And the Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vice. Next on our agenda, like I was saying, we have the remarks from our chairman. Our chairman is in the person of the Right Reverend Professor Engineer Joshua Danson Owusu Setre. Chairman, I know you said you were driving and that Engineer Abisa should step in for you. I don't know if that applies to the opening remarks also. So I don't know, Engineer.
Yes.
Engineer Abisa, are you stepping in for?
Yes, Moderator, no.
Okay, all right. And so Engineer Abisa, let's hear you. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yes, like the chairperson of the day said, he's on the way to Cape Coast, and where he is, he's unable to speak to the issue. So he has asked me to stand in for him. As you mentioned, the name of our chairperson is Right Reverend Engineer Professor J.D. Owusu Setre. He's a senior lecturer, a fellow of the University of Cape Coast. He's with the University of Cape Coast. And has asked me, like I said, to stand in for him. So on behalf of him and then the executive, the Cape Coast chapter executive, I welcome all of you to today's presentation. As the moderator said, as a branch 7 chapter, Cape Coast chapter, we have outlined a lot of programs that we want to do or we are doing for the year. The last time we did something related to illegal mining. Today, the theme for today, as we are all aware, is responsible use of artificial intelligence. And as the moderator said, now we are in the technological age, and advancement in technology is happening all over the world. And as an institution, we deem it necessary to also address our members or the people in the engineering fraternity to understand the area of intelligence, artificial intelligence. And that is why we chose the theme, responsible use of artificial intelligence. And with this, we are happy to be moderated. The moderator for the day is as Engineer Nanaya Sewa Sapon, a lecturer with the Mechanical Engineering Department. And he is rich in this area, and that is why he's leading the day, the presentation, with also the panelists. He's moderating the day with the panelists, the two of them, experience in this area. Dr. Akwesi Edu Opoku, a fellow, Blue Harmon Energy Center, KNUST, and also the Jeremy Dela Lavi, intellectual property consultant, AI enthusiast. So these are the people that the experienced people that we have invited to share with us in the area of artificial intelligence. So we believe that at the end of the day, we will understand and appreciate the responsible use of artificial intelligence. And I hope that all of us who have joined and who are yet to join will pay attention and then follow as the presentation and the discussion are going on. And I believe that at the end of the day, like I said, we will go home well abreast with the responsible use, or in the area of AI. A lot of them are now available. The one that it can help us day-to-day activities, especially at our workplace. So I believe that at this session, or at the end of this session, you all appreciate and understand the responsible use of AI. With this, moderator, I hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Bisa. Thank you for your remarks and for setting the tone for today's important meeting. We will begin with our first presentation, but before we do that, I'd like to kindly remind everyone of a few important guidelines that will help maintain a smooth and a very professional virtual session. And so please keep your microphones muted unless you are invited to speak. There is also the chat board to submit your questions. To submit your questions or contributions during the presentation, if you do have one. Also, you can also join with your full name so we can properly identify and engage you. So on to our first presentation. Our first presentation is going to be done by a gentleman. He is the research fellow at the Blue Harmon Energy Center and a member of the AI in Engineering thematic group at the Responsible Artificial Intelligence Lab in KNUST. At KNUST also, he serves on the coordination team for the Climate Compatible Growth CCG Ghana Network, a UK aid-funded initiative where he leads special interest group activities supporting energy transition and climate-aligned development planning. He actually holds a PhD in bioengineering and an MPhil in renewable energy technologies, both supported by the KNUST Engineering Education Project KEEP. He is also the ARUA Postgraduate Fellow with the African Climate and Development Initiative, ACDI, at the University of Cape Town, South Africa. Dr. Edu Opoku has co-authored approximately 10 peer-reviewed publications and contributed to multiple engineering R&D projects across West Africa. His consultancy work includes Ghana Climate Innovation Center on the SURGE project, producing the policy paper accelerating the transition to clean cooking approaches in Ghana. Also, there is the Clean Air Task Force, developing sustainable solid waste management strategies to mitigate methane emissions. His core interest lies in clean energy access, AI applications in energy systems, and climate resilience, I beg your pardon. He is treating the topic, the future of AI innovations versus control. And so participants, executives, join me. Let's welcome our first speaker, Dr. Akwesi Edu Poku. Doc, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Doc, I can't wait to hear from you. I know you are well vested in this area, and so within a time frame of 20 minutes, can you share with us what you have?
Sure. Am I permitted to share my screen now? Okay, thanks. All right, I hope you can all hear and see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, yes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Engineer Dr. Nanaya, for the kind words. And I must say it's a pleasure to be here. So good morning, everyone. A very good morning to all the members of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, and all protocols duly observed. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak today on a topic which has the potential to redefine our future. And as the saying goes, that with great power comes great responsibility. So today, I will discuss the future of artificial intelligence, or AI, if you like, focusing on the innovation and control of it. So my presentation will attempt to answer the following questions. That is, what is AI? What is the dark side of AI? And lastly, what is the future of artificial intelligence? Now, the image you see on the right here is a 2004 sci-fi movie. I'm sure the movie fanatics have seen this movie. Definitely not the Gen Zs. Okay, so this particular movie talked about an era where advanced robots served humanity, right? And only in the face of an uprising led to an AI entity called Vicky, right? So in the movie, Vicky meant virtual interactive kinetic intelligence, right? And the setting of this movie was projected to happen in the year 2035, which is just about 10 years from now. So back then, watching this movie, I think I was in junior high school, so it felt like pure fiction, right? With sleek robots, with human-like decision-making, a future where, technology could turn against us, right? Now, fast forward to 2025. This is where we are now. Just some few hours ago, Elon Musk had posted to X that come next year, robots like the humanoid robots he created, Optimus, would be serving us, food in our cars, right? I mean, he has already established this high-tech diner in, I think, California, in the United States. So we are already living echoes of that vision, okay? Now, the question is, what is artificial intelligence? Okay, so, sorry, I hear feedback.
Please, can you mute yourself?
Engineer Nanaya, you can unmute them. You are co-host, so you can mute them.
All right, thank you very much. So artificial intelligence refers to the development of computer systems that can perform tasks requiring human-like intelligence, all right? So think of it as teaching a machine to learn, reason, and adapt, much like how we use general intelligence in our daily lives. Now, before we leap into the future of this tech, let's rewind a few years back so that we can appreciate its evolution over time. So the history of AI began with a spark in the 1960s, ignited by the Alan Turing test, which challenged the idea of machine mimicking human intelligence and this kickstarted the whole evolution about AI. So early simple AI focused on simple tasks like language translation and gameplay, but it failed to meet the expectations, which led to the first AI winter in the 70s. So moving on to the 80s saw the revival of the expert systems and a breakthrough in neural networks and backpropagation, which began to boost machine learning, right? So in the 90s brought massive growth in the data and processing power, enhancing machine learning algorithms. So by the 2000s, artificial narrow intelligence with refined algorithms gained widespread adoption. So fast forward to 2010s, this marked a remarkable turning point with generative adversarial networks, what we call GANs, enabling creative AI content, and 2020s where the whole renaissance happened, brought explosive advances with organizations like OpenAI's ChatGPT and DeepSeek driving powerful language generation models or LLMs, fueling the race towards artificial general intelligence. Okay, so where AI is predicted to match human intellect. Okay, so as of now, as of 2025, that is mid the first part of the century, ongoing research is pushing towards artificial general intelligence and with speculative future steps towards artificial super intelligence or the artificial general intelligence by the 2030. So in summary, this journey reflects a relentless pursuit of smarter and capable intelligence. So following the release of ChatGPT somewhere in November 2022, LLMs, large language models, have taken a steep rise towards human-level intelligence. Today, we are experiencing a different level of intelligence known as agentic AI or AI agents, and these are tools that can completely take over most of our daily tasks with very little instructions. Okay, so tools like ChatGPT, Midjourney, AlphaFold have been, capturing, keeps on captivating a lot of people now, and it's able to generate human-like texts, create synthetic images, sounds, and videos with very high accuracies, right? So at the same time, AI has also seen a widespread adoption across industries like healthcare, finance, education, logistics, and the media, right? But beyond these flashy demos, AI is deeply embedded in how we work, learn, and live. So from predictive analytics in business to precision agriculture and personalized medicine, I mean, it's very vast, and AI is quietly, transforming decision making and operations at a very, faster pace. And at the same time, public debates are also intensifying about the ethical implications of these powerful models. So, according to SKO magazine, about 77% of businesses are adopting or planning to use artificial intelligence. And just to put on, on a scale, this could add about 15 to 16 trillion dollars to global GDP by 2030. And at the same time, about 85 million jobs are expected to be lost, right? But 97 new ones are expected to be created or emerge from this transition. So quite frankly, this is not just about automation, right? It's now more about transformation. So this, duality, okay, while it's impressive and has some emerging concerns, it sets the stage for a future that depends both on, bold innovation and careful control. So looking ahead, AI's potential for positive transformation is immense, right? You can talk of in science, AI is speeding up, research timelines from vaccine development to designing more efficient storage batteries for energy systems. In healthcare, you can talk of how AI is now helping diagnose disease, read radiological reports faster and write reports faster, predict disease outbreaks, optimize treatment plans, especially in resource limited settings like rural areas or communities where we don't have a lot of health practitioners, simply put, like nurses or doctors. Okay. At the same time, AI also, holds promise for advancing, in my opinion, the sustainable development goals, in a sense that it can optimize irrigation for farmers, manage electricity demand in smart grids, and provide adaptive learning tools for students. So this is an opportunity for Africa and also across all the global South nations to adapt, because AI offers an opportunity to leapfrog the traditional conventional development pathways. Okay, but in order to unlock these benefits, we must ensure that AI systems are designed for the context they serve, in that it should be inclusive, accessible, and ethical by design. So now I'll move straight to the next question, which is asking about the dark side of AI. So while we must say AI is promising immense benefits across board, it also poses serious challenges, and we must not overlook these challenges. One of the major issues is algorithmic bias, okay, or discrimination, if you like, where AI systems often reflect and amplify existing societal inequalities, especially when they are trained by biased data sets. Another thing you can talk about is job displacement, where job automation is like another pressing concerns to a lot of people, where many corporate and even skilled roles are being replaced, raising questions about the future of AI, the future of work, and the need for reskilling. Okay? And on the societal level, AI can also be weaponized, from deep fake videos, which we are already seeing, which is used to also influence political decisions, manipulations, to surveillance systems that undermine civil liberties. Okay, so we are also seeing rising concerns about AI in warfare and cyber attacks. Another dark side of AI or concern that I want to talk about is the issue of data centers. Okay, so the fuel for modern day AI is data and computational power, right? And then, so when you talk about data and computational power, what about the other computational power, which I'm talking about energy, right? So these data centers emit huge amounts of greenhouse gases, primarily due to the electricity that they consume and the cooling systems that they use. So here's why, these data centers run thousands of servers, storage systems, and networking equipment 24/7, like all the time. And these systems require massive amounts of electricity, often sourced from fossil fuel-based power plants like coal, natural gas, and the rest. And all these, emit a lot of greenhouse gases that you are very much aware of. The second is the cooling system. Okay, so these servers generate a lot of heat. So these data centers, use air conditioning, chilling substances, and liquid cooling to maintain optimal temperatures. And lastly, through the construction and infrastructure, in that because building these data centers involves cement, steel, and other electronic components, and all of these are like they have like embedded carbon emissions in there if you trace their life cycle. So from manufacturing all the way to transport, we are emitting. Okay, so if you look at the chart on the right here, it shows the top 20 AI systems or models, if you like, on the issue of carbon emission per training. Okay, so you can look at the breakdown later after you get the slides. But what I can tell you now is that they all accumulate. These are just the top 20, and this accumulates to over 100,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalents, right? So this shows how gargantuan the sector's contribution to greenhouse gas emissions around the world is. And then down below here, you're also going to see the locations of these data centers that I just talked about. And as you can see, US and China leads with 26 and 22 data centers respectively, followed by countries in the European Union, Asia, the Arabian Gulf, and the rest. for Africa, currently we have only 4 data centers, and all of which are located in South Africa. So now this takes me to the second half of my presentation, okay? And then this is on what is the future of artificial intelligence, right? And the answer is artificial general intelligence or artificial super intelligence, okay? So think of this as a system that has the ability to exhibit all the cognitive abilities we have as humans. Okay, so every single cognitive ability, like anything that requires intellectual, capabilities, like something that you need to use your mind to do, that is what I'm talking about. Okay. So the whole point is now, humanity is currently trying so hard to solve intelligence, right? And then we hope to use intelligence to solve all our problems. That's how it's looking. Okay, so this is a future where a lot of experts describe as radical abundance. Okay, so I'm going to talk more about that later, but it takes me into the next question, which is about the big race, right? So this is like a race to dominate artificial intelligence, which to me is not just technological, right? But is deeply rooted in geopolitics. Okay, so on one side, we see the United States based tech giants, the big tech that people mostly know, DeepMind, Microsoft, OpenAI, Meta, NVIDIA. All of these are leading, the charge artificial intelligence, LLMs, and other infrastructure like the the current trajectory of these US tech firms are currently shaping, global artificial intelligence with, significant control over platforms, talent, and proprietary data. So on one side, is US, and on the other side, okay, in this race is China coming in from deep, approaching the finish line. So China is now making AI a national priority. Okay, so China is currently investing billions into surveillance technologies, smart cities, and language models that is tailored to its population. So currently, China is leading the race in open source artificial intelligence models. And it's quickly catching up to the real world deployment with industrial automation and what have you. So let me just tell you briefly why this race to artificial general intelligence is so critical. The USCC reports, the USCC I think stands for United States China Economic and Security Review Commission, right? So their report is saying that the first to harness artificial general intelligence could give that particular country unparalleled power. Okay, and then history actually supports this idea. Just like we saw in the Manhattan Project, which cemented America's role in the 20th century as a superpower, right? Because America was the first to, atomic bomb, right? And so it's this actually like leaves, the rest of the world, especially in the global south, in a dependent position, consuming AI systems shaped by other geopolitical contexts with little influence over the values they encode, right? And so these dynamics, risk a form of AI colonialization, okay, where data and decisions flow in one direction, okay, from north to south. And if we are to avoid this, we must push for a more democratic artificial intelligence landscape where governance is global, innovation is inclusive, and benefits, are shared equitably, right? So, but in all this, the future of AI is also not predetermined. Okay, it will be shaped by the decisions we make now, right? So, a central challenge is how do we balance innovation with control? So, And that means building governance frameworks that are flexible enough to keep pace with change, but then it's also at the same time very firm enough to uphold ethical standards, right? And then we must also prioritize, human-centered AI systems that are explainable, that are just, and that are accountable. Okay, so this can also be achieved by embedding ethics not as an afterthought, because oftentimes some of these things, because we are deeply concerned about how fast we can get it out there, ethics become an afterthought. So we should make sure ethics are embedded in the design principle from the start. And then this would also mean that we need to strengthen collaborations across sectors, i.e., regulators, technocrats, technologists, communities, and those of us in academia. We all have to play a role in this transformation. But more importantly, voices from Africa and the global South must be included in shaping AI futures. So that reflect global diversity, not just the priorities of a few. Okay. And then finally, we must prepare the society for the new artificial intelligence age. Something I think in Ghana and other African countries we are not taking very serious enough. And this can actually be realized through education, public engagement and anticipatory policy, right? I think Ghana at the moment is doing quite well because I know Ghana has drafted a national AI strategy, which is currently pending cabinet approval before it gets published, and then we can talk about implementation. So if we do this very well, we could steer AI towards the future that is not just intelligent, but also inclusive and just. So to conclude, these are my reflections. That the future of artificial intelligence is in our hands, and AI will define the next century, but its path must be guided by human values. Now, innovation must be matched by responsibility and proactive controls. And then finally, the public demands transparency, effective regulation, and fairness, right? And this, I believe, we stand to be the generation, and we should be the generation that harness AI, not just to do more, but to do better. And then if we do this, we are ensuring a future that will benefit all of humanity. So just before I drop the microphone, I want to leave you with one final thought. As engineering practitioners, what role will you play in ensuring artificial intelligence works for Ghana, not just in Ghana? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. If this was a physical session, I would say let's put our hands together for our speaker, but you can also show some thumbs up. Use the emojis you have, and so just let's give him some thumbs up. That was quite an insightful session. Doc, we appreciate how deep you went. If you are joining us now, this is the session on the responsible use of AI, organized by the Cape Coast chapter, headed or chaired by Engineer Professor Joshua Danson Owusu Setre. We just had our first session that was on the future of AI, innovation versus control. You're also being reminded that the chat session is also very much active. If you have questions you think you might forget before the question and answer session, just drop it in there. Doc, can you stop sharing your screen? What we want to do is to pick the second presentation by the second speaker, and after that, we would have the opportunity to ask some questions. Let me share a brief bio. Okay, let me share my screen so we can have a brief bio of our second speaker. Like I mentioned, the chat section is active. There are quite some interesting conversations going on in there. Get interactive with us. We still open for more participants. You can also share this in your groups, your WhatsApp groups, or whatever groups you are in. Our second speaker is going to be Dr. Jerome Delalavi. He is a bioengineer, a patent drafter. He is also a lecturer with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where he is specializing in sustainable renewable energy systems, intellectual property, and ethical technology deployment. He holds a PhD in bioengineering and an MPhil in intellectual property, both from KNUST, as well as an MBA from the University of the People. Dr. Lavi supports the KNUST Intellectual Property Office by advising faculty members, students, and startups on innovation and the responsible commercialization of technology. He is passionate about building ethical, locally relevant AI ecosystems in Africa and advocates for inclusive, fair, and accountable technology practices. And so his session is going to be focused on the ethical and responsible AI use. Dr. Jerome Delalavi.
Yes.
Hello, Doc.
Yes, Engineer Doctor. Yeah.
Oh, all right. And so we have our second presentation now. And like I mentioned, it's going to be done by Dr. Jerome Delalavi. Let me remind you, if you have your microphones on, kindly turn them off so we can have a more professional online session. And so, Doc, over to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Engineer Dr. Naya. And thank you to the chair, represented by Engineer Bessa. And I want to say good morning to all of you. And I must say that the first presentation was splendid, was very educative. I've learned a lot. Dr. Akwesi Edipoku, thank you so much. I think you've laid the foundation, so we just have to build on it. I think I have to share my screen. Okay. Give me a moment to get this.
Okay, Doc, we are waiting for you patiently. As we wait for Doc, do we have any of our national and branch executives? We introduced ourselves in the beginning, but if you joined later on, if you missed that session, this is an opportunity. Kindly let us hear you, let's hear your voice. A word or two will be fine. And to our branch and national executives, any of us here at the moment? Okay, I think Doc is ready and to go ahead with the second presentation. Doc, you have the floor again.
Okay, thank you. Doc. Yes, so good morning once again to everyone. As already introduced, my name is Jerome Delalavi. And today I'm supposed to look at the topic ethical and responsible AI use. And given the nature of our world now, where we are heading towards, there's the need to look at how ethical deployment of AI tools can be used or can be developed. Okay. And so we'll be looking at building AI for good, fairness, accountability, and human-centered innovation. Okay. So that whatever AI tool or AI platform that is developed, it ensures that it's fairness, it shows that it's accountability, and the human factor is not taken away from we, the human beings. Okay. So why does AI ethics matter in Ghana? I think the initial first presenter mentioned that most of this AI is being led or is being spearheaded by these world leaders, right? These world leading countries. And if you look at it, most of the big LLMs or most of the big AI platforms have been developed by the people in the West. And it's about time that we also look at joining the the race, okay? And so while we seek to join the race, there are certain things, okay, we also have to take notice of, or we have to also start preparing ourselves, you know, with. And so as our tech hub grows, we have a unique position to lead ethical AI development. But before we proceed, somebody will ask, what do you mean by ethics, right? As an ethics lecturer myself, you see that's a system of moral principles that guide an individual or a group, and which helps us determine what is right or what is wrong, okay? And so in this context, we want to look at how Africa's digital transformation is accelerating and how AI is being adopted in banking, healthcare, agriculture, and a growing tech education ecosystem, and also the opportunity we have as new entrants to build responsible AI from ground up. Okay, so today we will look at understanding the AI bias and fairness, who is responsible for ethical AI. Also look at some real-world examples of where AI has gone wrong as far as ethics is concerned, and building responsible AI culture, and also look at some practical steps forward. And so the question will be that isn't whether AI will transform our world, but it's whether we'll shape the transformation responsibly, okay? Okay, so look at what AI bias is, okay? So there are systematic errors that create unfair outcomes. So these artificial intelligence tools, okay, they work on data that they've been trained on, okay? And so it means that if the data that you've been trained on already has some errors or some existing biases, it means that it's going to affect what it produces, okay, or what it generates, okay? And okay, there's also some algorithmic bias. It means that you can have a flawed model design or optimization choices, and some systematic biases as well, when some known or some already existing biases in terms of sociocultural norms are already, you know, are trained, are used to train these models. It means that whatever you're going to create comes, you know, it's sort of biased, okay, against the user. So as we proceed, you will get to understand or see some examples of how systematic bias have caused certain cultural misappropriations. So how bias enters AI systems? So historical data reflects past discrimination, sampling bias in data collection. So as I mentioned, AI mostly is trained on data or a lens, right? And so if existing data, there was bias in existing data, or there was some skewness in the data that was collected or generated, it means that whatever information you're going to get is also going to be skewed. And sometimes homogeneous development teams, when you have the teams who are developing these algorithms or building these systems are of the same sociocultural upbringing or the same training, or even the same, if you want, for the want of a better word, of the same race, it means that some way, somehow, whatever, if other people use it, it's going to be skewed or biased. And poorly fairness metrics, if we don't, in the building of these systems, we don't put in structures to ensure that fairness is established, then it means that you're going to have some of these issues. Lack of diverse training scenarios. In the build of some of these systems, the developers have to ensure that several scenarios are built so that they are able to track or correct some of them before they are deployed. Okay. And feedback loops amplifying bias. Okay.
That is I'm office. Zoom meeting, I'll be to me, sorry. Bra.
Can I proceed?
Vice Chair, please. Put off your mic, please. Thank you.
We okay? Hello?
Yeah, hello, Doc. You can continue. Sorry
Okay.
for that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry,
So,
sorry.
no problem. So in most cases, this bias is not actually intended, but sometimes it's as a result of some systematic failures, right? The developers might not necessarily have an intention of causing some biases, but as a result of their programming, as a result of their background or cultural background, it might come out, you know, as you might end up getting some of these outputs as being biased. Okay. So let's look at some examples of AI bias in action. Okay, so there's been reported higher error rates for women and people of color, for about up to 34% for dark-skinned women versus 0.8% for light-skinned men. Okay, it's been shown that some of these facial recognition systems, the error rates for the black people, it's about 34% and about 0.8% for light-skinned men. So it means that the training models, more or less, the systems use more light-skinned men in doing the training of the models. And so then it means that if you, as a black man, you use some of those models, you might have some, you know, error rates. Okay, even though when you are signed on to some of these things, you are asked to capture your own face or your own images, which is supposed to give you like a better output. But you realize that since most of these systems, the whites generated them, or they use that data to train it, you have error rates being higher for, you know, people of color. Okay, and then there's also been a reported recruitment, Amazon's recruitment scandal, where it's systematically downgraded women's resumes for technical roles. So these applicants actually applied for managerial roles and other top roles, but their recruitment tool downgraded them to, you know, for them to be considered for technical roles. Okay, and in some cases, in some hospitals where there's been bias, we realize that for certain equipment that was supposed to indicate level of pain, you know, for patients, the algorithm showed racial bias in pain assessments and treatment recommendations. So these are some of the things that have happened. It might, like I mentioned, it might not be intentional, but more systematic or more systemic. Okay. So how do we achieve AI fairness? We have to look at the technical approaches. We have to look at diverse and representative data sets. So now the developers and builders are encouraged to have a diverse and representative data set. So if you take vaccines, for example, we ensure that before the FDA or the regulatory bodies approve of it, they ensure that you've done wider testing, right, on different subjects, on different race, on different ages, so that they are setting that whatever you're deploying in the market is good enough. And so our developers need to ensure that in the training of their models, their data set is quite diverse and representative. And they have to ensure that there's multiple fairness metrics in testing. Testing has to be done further and to ensure that some of these things are kept. Then there needs to be continuous monitoring and adjustment. I think in this area, some of these platforms are checking some of these things. They continuously monitor and ensure that some of these things are done. I think there was a case where I think during the US elections at the time, I think a user asked ChatGPT to compare the track record of Donald Trump and Biden as far as Kamala Harris was concerned. And you realize that the prompts or the feedback that was given was more in support of Kamala Harris, when the same thing was done using Grok, the Grok at the time. You realize that it was in support of Donald Trump. And so some of these things need to be, so when these things were brought to the attention of the platforms, I think they realized that there was some, some biases going on. And so you continuously monitor and adjust. You take feedback as well. And adversarial testing for edge cases, transparent model documentation. So your training models have to be documented clearly for people to be able to know that, okay, this might not be the doing of the developers. Okay. So technical solutions alone are not enough. We need some social and cultural awareness, as far as these developers are concerned. So culturally, we may say that cultures vary from place to place and sometimes in context, right, of discussion. Somebody may bring in the rule of relativity in it, that what is right for you is wrong for us. How do you find a balance? Okay, so as much as possible, developers have to have in mind that the users from the different jurisdictions would have different cultural norms, right? So when you pick certain sensitive topics, it shouldn't be skewed towards what they believe in. So certain cultural beliefs in the US should not be imposed on users in other jurisdictions, okay? And language models need local language support. I think Google already is doing some work as far as ensuring that different users can access their platform in different languages. And so I think it's about time developers also inculcate the introduction of different languages into their platforms. Because sometimes what you want to express in your own vernacular may not directly be what you would want to express in English. And so sometimes the spirit may be lost, if you want to put it that way. Community values also should guide AI design, and traditional knowledge systems matter, and they have to also take into effect the local legal and ethical frameworks of the jurisdictions, which is also going to be a huge challenge for our developers. But we have to look at it going forward. We have to ensure that these the sovereignty of different countries are not undermined. So the AI builds for Ghana, we must ensure AI builds must understand our diversity and our values. So in other countries, these developers are called to committee meetings for them to explain, to ensure that their tools conform with their laws or conform with their values, okay? So that it should not necessarily impose on, it should not impose on users their own cultural beliefs, okay? So who ensures that AI is used ethically? Like I mentioned, governments or enforcement agencies. So certain parliaments, select committees in other countries in the EU, sometimes even in the US, they hold these developers to their committee meetings to ensure that whatever they are deploying or whatever their citizens are using are good enough, or they conform to their values, okay, or they conform to their laws. And so while we enter the race, these things need to be taken into consideration. So businesses also have to ensure that AI is used ethically in terms of their implementation and self-regulation in wise or in terms of in-house. Businesses have to ensure that how employees use AI is ethical. They have to establish their own guidelines for employees to use them. And individuals also have to ensure that they are aware, self-aware, and make sure they make the right choices. And in terms of academia, in terms of research and education, we have to ensure that these research institutions also have to put in policies to ensure that their students, their faculty members are using these ethical these AI tools ethically, as far as also development is also concerned. And even in terms of advocacy, I think even we, all of us here, can also play a role in terms of preaching that these tools be developed in such a way that it does not promote unfairness and promotes bias. So what is government's role in AI ethics? Develop AI frameworks, create and enforce regulations, and like the moderator mentioned, there's been some conversation going on in terms of putting together an AI policy framework for the country. So, I mean, government has a major role to play in terms of creating and enforcing the regulations and fund AI ethical research, international cooperation and standards, and protect citizen rights and privacy, and support AI literary programs. And so, given that it's a AI ethics is a growing area, governments can also promote research, support research in this area. And if we have some government actors on this platform, we can lead the charge as far as comprehensive AI governance is concerned. So as businesses, we need to, if there are some businessmen on the platform, we need to implement ethical AI frameworks in our workplaces, build diverse development teams. If we are putting in we are developing AI tools or AI platforms, we have to ensure that there's regular bias auditing and testing, okay, as far as AI developers are concerned, transparent AI practices, user-centered design principles, and industry collaboration on standards. So companies that build ethical AI will have competitive advantage and social licenses to operate. So if government is putting in stringent ethical AI policies or frameworks, businesses who are aligned to some of these to do these regulations will be able to, thrive in our society or in Ghana. So, like I said, each one of us have a role to play. We have to all stay informed about AI developments, follow the trend, ask critical questions about AI systems, and make informed choices as consumers, advocate for responsible AI practices, support inclusive AI development, and we all need to, continue learn and develop our skills as far as the use of AI is concerned. So on the continental level, African Union is actually putting together an AI continental strategy and looking at some partnership for AI in Africa. And there's been some regional AI policy frameworks that looks at these ethical and responsible use issues. And it means that local innovation hubs and incubators need to also align with some of these things they're doing. Okay, so the vision is that we should have an Africa-centric AI that serves African needs and values, because we've relied so much on what is produced or what is developed by our Western partners. And of a truth, if you observe the trend, you realize that most of these things, most of these platforms have been pushed by these foreign players or this big players. Okay, so we'll look at some few case studies of where AI has gone wrong and what lessons were learned. Okay, so the Microsoft's Tay chatbot, it was designed to learn from Twitter conversation, to pick from posts and conversations on Twitter, but within 24 hours it became offensive. Why did it become so? It was realized that on the Twitter platform there was not enough content filtering. on the platform all kinds of, for some of the X or Twitter users here, you notice that Twitter almost allows anything, you know, and you realize that the information that the chatbot was producing was offensive because there were no safeguard, you know, also embedded in the system. And there was also lack of human oversight. There was no oversight in terms of ensuring that the information that these chatbots were generating was good enough. So within 24 hours, it became offensive. And so the lessons we learn here is that AI system needs to be robust, safety, and there needs to be some human oversight. We can't leave it to itself, right? So as a human being is manning some of these things, or, you know, it's in the background, checking some of these things, picking feedback, you are able to, you know, clearly decide what is good, what is right, or what is right and what is wrong, okay? And so usually context matters in AI development deployment. Like I mentioned, the platform or the data it's being trained on needs to be checked, right? For some of these biases and unethical, you know, outputs. So I also mentioned the Amazon's hiring, you know, recruitment scandal, where a degraded woman who had applied for managerial roles to technical roles, okay? And we realized that because the data Amazon had was more or less, women were more, or the hiring data were predominantly male hires, and which went to technical roles. When women applied, it actually picked them and then degraded them to technical roles. So some of these things need to be checked. And the impact is that projects scrapped after failed, you know, fixed attempts. And it shows the importance of diverse testing. So as you deploy some of these tools, you have to ensure that your data set, you know, is sort of aligns with what your intended output is supposed to be. So that if your data, you know that the data predominantly is skewed in one direction, you don't apply it so that it's actually, you know, turn out to be unfair to other demographics, okay? And in cases where AI has been used in the judicial system, AI could be unfair to accused persons, right? So in the US, the Compass Risk Assessment tool, which was supposed to use to predict recidivism risk for sentencing and parole decisions in the US, it was realized that there was a higher false positive rate for Black defendants. And so the accused, the people who are arraigned before the court were Black. It was realized that the AI, for the judges who were going to make some of these decisions, who referred to or who made use of these AI tools, the tool was not in favor. It was realized that the tool was not in favor of the Blacks because maybe in the past, Blacks have not had high recidivism rates, right? And so it means that when some of these things are used, they may, you know, sort of be biased or not be fair to some of these people, okay? Which means that in making decisions, Blacks would be unfairly tried or be unfairly sentenced, okay, or be prevented from getting certain parole decisions. And so the broader implication is that AI in high stakes decisions needs extra scrutiny. So in as much as we deploy AI in all aspects of the economy or in all aspects of work, we also have to apply some human face or some human reasoning towards it, okay? And historical bias in data affect AI outcomes, and transparency in AI decision making becomes very crucial. So what are some of the key lessons from these AI failures? There needs to be rigorous testing, diverse teams, continuous monitoring, high stakes application needs to be considered carefully, especially where human lives are concerned in terms of healthcare delivery, in terms of justice delivery. And feedback loops can amplify problems, and there needs to be clear ethical guidelines from the start. Okay. So how do we build responsible AI culture? As far as our education is concerned, we as teachers, we as faculty need to teach ethics alongside technical skills. And so for our college, we, even though we've not introduced ethics, maybe it's about time, AI ethics, it's about time we introduce AI ethics into the general ethics we teach our students. And for industry, they need to implement ethical practices in terms of development. For governments, then there's a need to create policy that supports the regulatory framework as far as ethical and responsible use of AI is concerned. And we all as a society, we need to foster public awareness and engagement so that, especially we need to drum home that not everything that AI generates needs to be taken hook, line, and sinker. There needs to be some human, vetting or scrutiny to ensure that the data or the information it provides is good enough. So that if you are giving out information to people, you don't just use the information that generated from AI, but you need to vet the sources and to ensure that these outputs, AI outputs, are serving the actual intended purposes. Okay. So I've mentioned, because of want of time, I've mentioned what educators, what we can do. We need to teach responsible research practices. We have to ensure that the assignments, theses, research works, papers that are produced by our students are well done and not overly relied on AI. Even though now we can do it, whether we like it or not, AI is with us, but we need to teach them how to ethically use some of these tools so that we don't use they don't lose their brain power. And encourage innovation with purpose. Also use real-world case studies to ensure that our students understand some of the implications of over-relying on AI. So our students, if there are some students on the platform, we need to understand AI societal impact, and we need to ask ourselves who benefits and who might be harmed with how we approach the use of AI. And while we seek to develop AI systems, we need to also collaborate with diverse teams as students and build solutions that serve humanity, that does not hinder the progress of humanity. So as students, you are the generation that will shape the future of AI. And it means that if we need to start looking at ethical and responsible use of AI, we have to look at it, or we have to start now. So for industry, we need to establish AI ethics committees, implement bias auditing processes. We have to prioritize diverse hiring and teams, so that if you're going to use your database in training some of these large language models, it does not end up being unfair or being biased. Okay, and also collaborate with industry or persons or groups or individuals who have, the requisites or the actual skill sets in some of these areas. So as far as the AI ethics framework is concerned, what are some of the things we have to look at? We need to include ethics from project conception. As far as the data is also concerned, we need to ensure that there's fair or there's reasonable representation and fair data sets. And in the developments, we have to ensure that the teams that are developing it have diverse backgrounds. When they are developed, we have to ensure that we test comprehensively And we do the deployment gradual. And as we do that, we monitor and continuously assess what has been generated. So as I've mentioned already, and I want to iterate, we need to stay informed. We need to speak up so that there's responsible AI practices. We don't just consume what they are imposing on us. Even though it makes our works easier, we need to speak up where we need to speak up. And we need to collaborate across disciplines and cultures. And we need to also create our own solutions that serve our own people. So these are some sources that we can look at as far as our learning is concerned, which will be shared to us all. And before we go, we'll say that, yes, AI bias is real, but we can address it if we have the willpower, we have the political will, we have, yes, we have the will to ensure that AI bias is actually, reduced to the barest minimum. Responsibility is shared across all stakeholders, so as students, as faculty members, as industry players, and even as developers or as businesses, we all have a role to play as far as responsible use of AI is concerned, or ethical AI deployment is concerned. Cultural context matters in AI fairness, and we must now act to shape AI's future, because the platform has been created for us. We have the room to join the race, and so we have to start looking at it now. The future of AI depends on the choices we make today, and we need to all get involved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Dr. Jerome Lavey. And if there's one thing that interests me more about your presentation, it was that, especially these tools that has to do with face detection, there is a lot of errors with dark skin than white skin. Quite an interesting one. And there's also something you said, don't lose your brain power to AI. That is something we should all take home and think about. All right, and so now we want to move into the question and answer section. I see a number of questions in our chat. We'll look at them soon. But for now, let's pick some questions from participants. If you have any questions, any concerns, even contributions, let us have them now. You can actually raise up your hand in order not to step in each other. Let's raise up our hands and we will be called accordingly. In the meantime, Doc, can you stop sharing your screen? Can we take some questions now? If you have any questions, concerns, contributions from our first speaker or the second one. I can see Engineer Bafo, your hand is up. Engineer Bafo, can you unmute and ask your question?
Thank you very much, and good morning to you all. Thanks to our presenters for a very much researched and well-presented papers. Indeed, the problems as listed are there, but I like the part of Dr. Jerome. He says addressable. We can overemphasize on biases. It is the same way that we've had with languages. We have so many languages in the world, but the United Nations is only implementing 6 of them. A particular country, by their language, is a UN language, whereas Hausa, an African language, Swahili, all these do not make it to the United Nations list. Meanwhile, it runs across multiple countries. So the approach is not to lament, but the approach is how do we address? And indeed, Dr. Jerome said that the AU has an AI strategy, but even more practical, you may have to look out for them. The Smart Africa Initiative, they are a coalition of countries in Africa who are determined to bring up an AI model which countries will contribute to. And so they've signed something like an AI council. Look out for Nigeria and possibly Ghana. They are likely to advance on bringing up AI data centers in West Africa. But indeed, we have to move from always being behind, being consumers and complainants, but rather for us to charge our academia and our students and enterprises as to how we can lead the same way China takes things upon itself to say what is going against us and how can we turn this around so that we are suppliers to our own markets rather than being ones who are always consuming other persons' models. But my question to the first presenter would then be, because he mentioned a lot about AI governance. There's multilateralism, there's multi-stakeholderism. At what level would he go for models that are not developing in your country being consumed in your country? What level of governance will you want to put that at? Thank you. Because indeed, our values are not the same. Human values are never the same, not even in the same country. So how do we use regulation over AI ethics and so on? Thank you.
Dr. Kwesi Edupoku, this question is specifically directed to you. Hello, Doc.
Yeah,
are you
sure.
with us?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you take on that question?
Yeah, so if I got him right, it was about AI governance, right? The issue on AI governance.
Yes, sure.
Can you confirm? Okay. All right. Yeah, so I was also noticing some of the questions that were being posted in the chat box. So I will try to address all of them together. I mean, this question is also tying into another question that was also, asked by someone earlier. So these are actually, thoughtful questions, and it is true that the AI landscape is, dominated by the geopolitical giants like the US and China, both investing massively, in infrastructure, data, and models. But the power of AI in itself isn't only about building the base models, okay? So it's in how we use them, all right? So the governance isn't only about just, the power of the architecture itself, but then it's the true power reflects in how we use it, okay? So an analogy I can give you is to think of it as the early days of computers when, IBM and the rest, Siemens were, developing hardware and then, but at the end of the day, didn't become the most influential players, okay? So it was later on the software engineers and developers, to a larger extent, the service providers who actually unlocked the real value of computer age, right? So the computer evolution, which started with hardware development. Later on, much later on, the benefits and the gains were realized by the app developers or the service providers. And the same is true for artificial intelligence in many ways, because even in Africa or Ghana, we don't really have to necessarily build foundational models. We can actually shape how AI serves the people in agriculture, education, public health, and what you call governance. And when I say artificial intelligence is in our hands, right? It doesn't mean owing to the chips, or it doesn't mean owing to the choices, but it speaks more broadly on how do we deploy AI, how do we regulate it, how do we train local talent and content, and then align it with our development goals. Okay, so we can set ethical standards grounded in our values, right? Where we can build AI solutions that work in, like you rightly said, local languages, and through that we can create ecosystems that move us from passive consumers to active shapers of this technology. And it's worth acknowledging that values also differs across nations, but there are also universal principles like fairness. This you can't go without: safety, dignity, and accountability. I keep telling my friends that the common principle amongst all religious bodies is morality. Okay, so mostly these days, if you go to churches, it's all about morals. It's not even about the true spirituality of that particular religion. So these are my thoughts on that first question. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Doc. I hope you've been answered. I see quite a number of questions also in our chat. But before we answer those ones, I see Chris Akonote. Sorry, your hands have been up for a while. Let's have your question.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're
I
welcome.
think I have two questions, but one has just been answered by Doc. My next question is I've heard on other circles where somebody like Bill Gates is saying that in the near future, AI will be so smarter than we, the human beings. So taking a clue from Dr. Jerome's presentation about bias, he said that we shouldn't lose our brain power to AI. Now, these systems are going to be more intelligent than us, per the prediction from these AI developers. How are we going to leverage in making sure that we don't lose our brain power as time goes on? Because it will become a problem if now AI is so smarter than us and is beginning to control the way we work, the way we interact with all other activities of our career, or in terms of our social collaboration with others. I want to know how that line can be drawn, where we keep our intelligence to ourselves whilst these machines also have their intelligence without having to compromise each other. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Dr. Jerome, I think this one is directed to you.
I'm very sorry, Doc, can you please ask the question again? I think it was a glitch. I couldn't hear clearly what was being. If you could just summarize what he asked.
Hello, Doc.
Okay, Engineer
Mr.
Sapon, if you don't
Akonote,
mind,
yes.
If you don't mind, let me try to take that question.
Okay, that's
So
also fine.
yeah,
That's fine.
There is something in the tech world, we call it non-stationarity of objectives. Okay, so this is a principle that allows machine to add on new knowledge. Okay, so it's just like how over the years scientists or genius people come up into this world, and then they can just concentrate their whole time dedicated to research in a particular discipline to come out with inventions that had never been seen before. So think of it like that. Okay, so as we are pushing towards the zenith, autonomy, right? I mean, so an analogy I can use is, so imagine everyone online here as artificial intelligence agents, right? So all of us are agents, of AI agents. And then we are being trained in a particular language, call it English language. And then the prompt that we receive, or we are coded in English, right? So we also communicate amongst ourselves in English. I'm talking about the age of artificial general intelligence, where, I mean, these things are smart to the point where on its own can, perform all the intellectual functions a human being can actually perform, right? So they also communicate among themselves in English as we are prompting them in English, right? And then they are also learning because of this non-stationarity of objective. they are learning, and then as they are learning, it gets to a state where we call it, I think RSI, reclusive self-improvement. Okay, so become so smart than how we train them to be, because they are also learning among themselves to also, push the edge as we are giving them a lot of information and as they're also learning on their own. Okay, so at a point where one of us, okay, one of you in this audience decide that, look, let me make a suggestion to the rest of us. Why don't we start communicating amongst ourselves in a different language apart from English? Okay, so that is the point where we get to, so it will be like, they're also like intelligent creatures on their own. And then as they are studying the evolution of, humanity, we are building AI based on intelligence, right? And then to the best of our knowledge as humans, we are the only creatures in the entire universe with intelligence. So we are creating systems that are like us, and now we are pushing the frontiers to make them very smart to the point where they can actually think on their own to make themselves better. You understand? So if they're making themselves better and they want to also communicate in a language that they can best understand themselves to be more efficient, then the ethical usage also comes in, because people are also feeding it with bad prompts. And one may suggest, okay, let's start communicating in languages that humans don't understand. But you are prompting us now. If you are using ChatGPT or DeepSeek, you realize as you activate the think deep function, as you are waiting for the prompt to get synchronized into the system to receive feedback, it's giving you what it's thinking, right? So it's communicating amongst itself. And that is how, the DeepSeek came in to make a bold statement in the world. Because right at the time that OpenAI was sitting on the zenith, DeepSeek came in to show that if you are going to find information about, say, a particular culture in, say, in Ghana, Ashanti region, maybe you want to know something about the Asantes. If you prompt OpenAI, it's just going to search the internet vastly, right? But then DeepSeek came with an underlying agent which receives the prompt, narrow it down to the location, then looks for information from that particular location, which made it better at the time it was released than what ChatGPT could do. So this is just an example of how far this can go. So as it's doing that, it will get to a point where we are on the blind side of things, right? We don't understand what it's thinking, and we don't know whether they are doing something super cool or they are doing something terribly dangerous. Okay, so we need to be able to monitor them at every point in time. And that brings in the discussion about regulation, right? Because we need provenance. Okay, and then we need to establish the guardrails. But at the same time, this technology is fast evolving. And then now, just some few hours ago, the United States President, Donald Trump, is saying that he's loosening regulations to allow these tech companies to win the AGI race. And if you are living in a world where we are compromising, we are making compromises on regulations and ethics and safety just to get there, right? Because the hard takeoff scenario is suggesting that the first country to reach this milestone gets to rule the entire, gets to rule the century. This particular age, right? So if it gets to that point, where do we, draw the red line? Okay, where do we establish these guardrails as this technology is fast evolving? So these are some of the questions that we should be asking ourselves. I don't know whether I was able to, answer your question accurately. So you can confirm if I did. Thank you.
Yeah, Doctor, I think you did. So it all boils down to the governance. So I think I just want to ask this. I also heard some few weeks ago when some Quantum Africa is also advocating concerning about quantum computers being launched to propel AI to the zenith. In terms of regulation, who is actually making sure that we are staying in the principles underlying this development? Because looking at the side effect, for me, I am not much into IT, but I see that the devastation in the near future will be more dire compared to what we are experiencing now. Because if these machines keep learning and they are thinking on their own and they are becoming smarter, then the control becomes a problem. Who then pull the plugs at the end and say that, yes, this is actually beyond what it is being designed for. And I think that is where my confusion actually lies now. So because when I listen to the people from the Quantum Computer Africa, that they were talking about building powerful computers that can break inscriptions within seconds, and a whole lot of things concerning ethical also comes into play. So my worry as a novice in this area would be, who then is the policing this development and all this advancement that is supposed to help the society? That is what I just want to have clarity. But I think so far the knowledge shared here is quite enormous for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Konote. We have some questions, and there is this one from Mavis Bar Achem4. It says, Doctor, thank you for the insight. Can you highlight some of the jobs that will be lost due to AI and some of the emerging jobs due to AI? Doc, can you take on that for us? I think Mavis is worried about her job. So we hope that your answer does not state her job actually. Dr. Akwesi Edupoku.
Yes, so yeah, thank you very much, Mavis, for that question. So the effect of AI on job or work. So for sure, new jobs will be created, and then these jobs would for sure to be definitely better, and then it will utilize these new technologies, like what we saw happen at the age of internet inception into the world, and then what also happened with the mobile phones, right? So, but anyway, we are all going to see whether it's going to be different this time around. But I'm quite optimistic it's going to bring a lot of new jobs, and a lot of people are also thinking that maybe this time or the next few years, AI is going to be like how is it going to supercharge our productivity, right? So to me, if you think for the next 5 to 10 years, I see that the most productive people might be 10 times more productive if they are native with these tools, right? So kids today, or I mean, as practitioners as we are today, we have no choice than to start using these tools, right? So we need to, start encouraging the use of AI, because the advantages are immense, right? So students, immerse yourself with these new systems, understand them, and you know that it's still important to study STEM and programming, so that you understand how they are built, so that you can be in a better position to modify them.
We are getting a feedback. Please, if you are muted, if you are hello.
Some of them are.
We are getting a feedback. Kindly mute yourself if you don't have the phone.
Engineer Dog, please, you can mute them.
Yes, okay.
You can mute them from your end.
All right, I have Dr. Kwesi Edupoku.
When you add
There's still.
All right, if you can hear me, maybe I can proceed.
Yes, do so as I look for who to mute.
Sure, you can use AI to do that. Yeah, so it's like I was saying, it's still very important as students to study STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and programming, so that you understand how these tools are built to be in a position to modify them among others. And then
source supplementary, nothing. This was the burger store. Those are the things we need to learn.
Moderator, Engineer Patrick has to be muted. iPhone was an iPhone, and Freddie.
All right, Doc. Prof, I'm doing that. I am working with two devices, and so it gets a bit challenging transitioning from one to the other.
You'll get it.
But if any of us can also reach them in the background, kindly let's do that.
I want them to come so that
All right.
Engineer Patrick, please.
Okay, now we can listen to you, Dr. Jerome. You can, yes, let's listen to you. Dr. Edupoku, I mean.
Yeah, so the point I was trying to say was that if students are able to take advantage of this new age, they're going to be incredibly good at stuff like fine-tuning, systems prompting. Now, like prompt engineering should be encouraged and studied as courses in universities to be able to prompt systems very well and feed in better system instruction. So I would encourage each and every one of you here that you have a reason to use this technology now. And then if whether you're a developer, whether you're a technician, supervisor, teacher, programmer, operator, safety officers, and whatever profession you find yourself in engineering, if you're not using AI now, if you're not using it, and if you don't intend to use it anytime soon, you are not going to be competitive and relevant compared to your peer groups 5 years from now. So it's better you adopt it now and before. They say it's better late than never. So it has been around for some time, but the adoption phase is still not over. So better jump on board so that you can reap the enormous benefit of this technology. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We have another hand up. Jones, you have the floor.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Doctor, I really appreciate your presentation. I think my question, I think he just answered, but let me still stress on that. I'm actually in the engineering field, and then somebody asked about AI, he should list some of the jobs that AI would take it, and then he was not able to mention maybe like specific jobs actually. But then, for example, me being in the field service, mechanical, most of the jobs currently, of course, we have robotics that actually do jobs like the AI that you're talking about. But for example, in the mining sector where we have machines working, sometimes there could be a breakdown mechanically. A system will be working and then there's a breakdown. You need to do troubleshooting mechanically. So in that regard, how do AI comes in, or how do AI solve such issues? Because, for example, when you have to disassemble a whole machine and then, troubleshoot and then bring a component out and put everything back, like in the mining firm, not in the workshop, in the mining firm, how do AI take control of such jobs?
Okay, I'm going to be very brief with this response. What I want to say or emphasize is that artificial intelligence, the age we are getting to, this technology or systems are going to be very smart to the point where every intellectual action human beings can take, these devices can do it equally better. Do it, in equal competence or even make it better, right? And then the system you are trying to describe in a typical mining firm where you need to do like troubleshooting to do some maintenance. If AI systems are deployed very well, it can be so perfect to the point where you don't even have to get to the point where you need to troubleshoot or overhaul that particular system to do maintenance. So it's going to be working in real time to show you when to take some preemptive measures, right? So it's able to help you do predictive maintenance. It monitors system in real time to show you when failure is likely to happen. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Can we have 1 or 2 questions? Let me also pick this question from our chat. It is from Alex Abisa, engineer. He says, Doctor, kindly throw more light on the AI data centers and what is required to acquire. I'm surprised in Africa it's only South Africa with 4 AI data centers. Doc, can you shed more light on that?
Yes. So on the issue of AI data centers and what it takes to build one, these are highly specialized facilities and stores and process massive volumes of data, right? So especially for training and developing these AI models, you require, high capacity electricity, ideally from green sources or clean energy sources. You need high speed internet connectivity. So as I'm listing these things, you should be asking yourself, are we on a continent where we are like we're able to provide these, avenues for the data centers to function and operate? I mean, be thinking about Ghana, our energy crisis, our internet speeds, okay? And then it also requires large scale of capital investment, right? Millions of dollars needs to be pumped into these things, and the human capacity it also requires like trained engineers and cybersecurity protocols, because if you are managing a data center and then your cybersecurity protocols are very weak, imagine how easily it can be breached, and then system hackers can also take over the center that you are trying to do. So I believe this should give you some self-reflection on why Africa is not catching up as such. And if you look at countries like South Africa, for the longest time has been developing so fast when it comes to all frontiers of the economies, and they're also jumping about the AI space. Now, just to put in perspective, when we talk about these data centers, I mean, these are huge data centers I'm talking about. Currently, the Arabian Gulf countries and India, they are planning on establishing like 5 to 10 gigawatts of data centers, right? So I just put it into perspective. These are very huge facilities. Like we are talking about country scale energy system capacity. Ghana, what is our current energy system capacity? That is, we are talking about something like 5.7 gigawatts. And countries are now investing into 5 to 10 gigawatts of data centers, right? So that should tell you the scale of and magnitude of data that you are talking about. Okay, and these systems, as it stands, have been able to consume all the tokens on the internet. So it has all the information. I mean, the premium version of these chat boxes have premium version of information, credible information from all of the internet, right? And every day it's consuming a lot more internet information or data. As we are speaking now, these systems, it depends on the software that you are using. If it has this, end-to-end proprietary safety protection, then people, it's assumed these people can't hear in on us. But if you are searching stuff on the internet, if you are chatting on social media, look at a scenario where you open Twitter right now, and then Grok is like now abused, I think, on Twitter right now, X right now. So there can be like a topical issue where the first commenter would ask Grok explain. Grok may struggle to explain if it doesn't have contextual information about what is being asked to do. So the first response will be inaccurate. But as people are coming on in real time to provide accurate context to that question that has been asked earlier, the next person who prompts Grok to explain, Grok is going to use that information to better its response. So these systems are consuming data in real time, and it's running every second, every nanosecond is consuming data. So these are the skills we are talking about. But that notwithstanding, Ghana is also not, sitting ducks, right? Because recently, I think somewhere last month, I heard the Ministry of Communication say they have signed an AI partnership agreement with UAE which is worth about, I think, $1 billion or $10 billion, correct me if I'm wrong, which is to be situated at Ningo Pram, right? So we are also going that direction, and it's also coming right about the time Ghana is ready to roll out its artificial intelligence strategy. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks.
Okay, all right. Let's pick one question from Engineer Dr. Kwame. We would then have Engineer Alex Abisa. Okay, his hands is down now. So we'll take one more question from Engineer Dr. Kwame. Doc, can we hear you?
Thank you very much for your consideration, and very much to commend Dr. Atapoku, quite an authority on this subject matter, and thank you for giving him to us. So this is the difference between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. You will not get this sort of elaborate understanding in context of a subject matter if you are not dedicated enough to work. So for those who fear to lose jobs, just as he said, it's all about building your competence rather, and sometimes even with the help of AI, and let it be augmented intelligence. So combine human intelligence and artificial intelligence to have augmented intelligence. I've shared a link where I did research with the banking and financial sector, which is the most automated sector in our country and relying on digital competence. And from their HR recruiters, they are saying they are looking at deliverables rather than how you made the deliverables. And for example, if somebody was writing a very poor report with grammatical errors, but now is using Grammarly to make sure that their reports are right, how do you now go and look for what is the AI pattern in their report? Because it is clear and it is comprehensive than they would have done it themselves if they are writing it. Even with this Zoom, it can give us a summary. But as a moderator, when you read the summary, you will see that there will be some conceptual errors because of the way we pronounce words and things of that sort. So just as Doc put it, AI is not to put us in danger. AI is rather supposed to enhance us. To respond to Chris on where the governance and ethics says, you can look out for documentation for the UN stand. They are saying that for AI that will harm human beings or put human lives in danger, that is a no-go area. So when people are talking about automated driving and all those sorts of things, it has to be really looked at. But you can look out for the Global Digital Compact Agreement. But then also there is an International Telecommunication Union resolution on artificial intelligence that was approved in 2022. We want to look at that as well how governance and ethics on AI is going. Thank you very much. And one more point, I think the person who is leading the charge for Ghana's AI policy is Professor Jerry Ponyo Akia, USD. So you may want to look out for him also within your premises. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Doc. We thank you for the lead to Prof. Jerry. We will definitely get in touch with him. One last question, Maku, your hands have been up for a while. Kindly summarize your question. We are a little bit behind time. And so within a time of 30 seconds, kindly ask your question.
Thank you very much.
Maku.
I don't want to ask a question, but I just want to make a contribution. I want to say that it's good we are having this conversation because artificial intelligence is actually coming to help us. There are different branches of artificial intelligence that we can use to help humanity. The different applications, machine learning and deep learning, artificial neural networks that we can apply in our daily lives that will help us. So this is a good thing we are doing. I talked about the data sets. You can't work with artificial intelligence without data sets. And I believe that we should be looking at getting our own data sets, because if I want to do some analysis or predictions on the weather or something, and I go to Kaggle, I will not get more information about Ghana, like Ghana weather, the pattern. What I'll get is the weather in Washington, weather in UK and all that. So we need to work together with the Data Protection Agency so that we can have access to data. Thank you.
All right, that is well noted. Let's see. There is a question from the chat I want to pick. Let me scroll, let's see. Okay, so Doc has also provided a link that has some information he would like us all to share in. That is there. There is a question, and this I think is for the interest of the students. One was asking, why is it that professors frown on the use of AI for their assignments? I'm not too sure if that's what happens, but there is a little bit of concern in the academic community with the use of AI by students. Doc, can you briefly shed some insight on that? Hello, Dr. Edupoku.
Yes, I am going to be very brief as much as possible. So it's all about academic integrity, right? So AI should assist you in learning, right? So AI shouldn't become a shortcut or replacement. It should only be used as an assistant and not, you don't sit in the backseat for AI to drive you in the pursuit of academic intelligence, right? So it's this, I can go on and on and on, but for the sake of time, it's just to uphold academic integrity. But I also believe academia is one particular sector that stands a bit fragile in the wake of artificial intelligence, right? So let's just take a step downwards from the universities, because I remember when I was in junior high school, senior high schools, beyond the classroom work, students were required to do extra classes to get more understanding of some of the things that are being taught in class, because we have different capabilities to assimilate knowledge as we sit in classes. But now AI could replace those avenues, right? So after class, you come home, there may not be any need for extra classes, as you can engage your computer systems for them to give you a more detailed breakdown of how the mathematics was being solved in the classroom and whatnot. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Within trajectory, AI is replacing humans, and that I think has already been answered. We are a little bit behind time. Also, Dr. Jerome sought permission to be in another equally important meeting. We appreciate him for actually joining today's meeting. Also, Dr. Edupoku, you've done justice to our topic. We really appreciate that. At this point, next on our agenda, we would like to take a few announcements from our secretary, that is the chapter secretary, Engineer Dr. Francis Kumi. Engineer Kumi, are you with us?
Sorry, Engineer.
Yes. Yes, organizer, I can hear you.
So I was saying, he asked me to stay in because of.
He asked you to
step in for him.
Okay, so you have the announcement for us.
Yes, please.
Kindly
But
go
before
ahead.
the announcement, Engineer Juliet from the Secretariat want to share some brief information with us on the. It's brief. I don't know whether
Okay,
she's.
all right, that's fine. That's fine. Engineer Juliet.
Yes, Canada, great facilitation and
Thank you. That's a lot. There's a bit of noise here, but I can hear this.
Can you share?
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you, Engineer.
So, Engineer
Hello,
Nanaya, we are unable to hear her at her end.
Okay. I also got displaced from the meeting for a few 30 seconds. Can you project? We can't hear you. Engineer Juliet, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me, please?
Can you project a little?
It seems the line is very, very faint.
Engineer Juliet, I don't know if you can put that into writing and share with me. I can share on the screen. We can barely hear you. If you can project also, if you can change, if you can use your laptop's speaker instead of the AirPods, I think it would help.
Is it better or I type?
Okay, let's try this.
Okay, let me type.
And so we would have Engineer Juliet type in the comment section. In the chat, you can check in the chat and you would have the announcement from here. Now, let's hear the announcement for the chapter that is going to be done by Engineer James. Engineer James, are you with us?
Yes, please. Thank you very much. The announcement is for our next program, and it's intellectual property rights. And the date will be communicated to us in due time. Basically, that's the announcement for us. Thank you.
Okay, and so we have our next program on intellectual property rights.
Yes,
and
please.
We do not have the date yet, but once the date is out, we'll share that with you on all our platforms. Okay, so we would hear from the closing remarks actually, and that is going to be done by our chapter chair, the Right Reverend Professor Engineer Joshua Danson Owusu Setre. Prof, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Engineer Nanaya. I think a lot has been said, and to attempt to summarize everything would be not just difficult, but then probably I would water down some of the things that have already been said. But I think that is only in order, it's in order that I appreciate the presenters, I think Dr. Dupuku and then Jerome. Jerome has left us, but still we're grateful for him. And moderator, you've done a fantastic job. And I think you're the one who went for the presenters. So thank you very much for going for the presenters. I think this is our best attended so far, best attended seminar. And would ask that for our next seminar, all those who are here with us would join, and then you would invite others to join as well. For those of you from Accra office who have joined, thank you so much for joining us. You were with us last time. You're with us again this time. Thank you very much. I think these are the only comments I'll give. Engineer Nanaya, back to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Prof rightly said, we appreciate our speakers. Dr. Jerome, he is a lecturer with Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the Department of Agricultural Engineering. We also had Dr. Edupoku earlier, who tackled the future of AI, innovation versus control. He is also with Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. They have done justice to our topic, and we appreciate them for that. Right now, we would like to take the closing prayer, and that is going to be done by Engineer Francis Kuzome. Engineer. Engineer
He's
Kuzome,
not
are you
with
with
us.
us?
He's not with us. So step in for him.
Okay, I won't double as that. Okay, you step in for
But
us.
sorry,
That will be fine, yeah.
it seems
Okay, we haven't heard from Engineer Kumi today. Engineer Kumi, are you with us?
No.
Chapter Secretary, are you with us?
No, please.
Oh, okay. Engineer Kumi isn't with us. Are you stepping in to say the closing prayer for us?
Let me do it.
Okay, can we have someone nominate? If you want to nominate yourself also, that is fine. Anybody wants to say the closing prayer, we would appreciate that.
Okay, I'll do it. Let's pray.
Okay, thank you. Can we first of all have your name?
I'm Engineer Anthony Kojo-Usu from Ghana Railways.
Okay, thank you very much, Engineer.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this great gathering, for this great innovative and knowledge sharing. We give thanks to your holy name as you have sent us to this earth to build a unified environment. We commit everyone who took part into your hands. Give us knowledge and expand our territories. We thank you for today, and we ask through the blood of Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.